Hello and welcome to the program. I am Freetoair. The agricultural sector in Nigeria is a very large sector, contributing about 24% to the gross domestic product, spanning 7 years from 2013 to 2020. The sector employs more than 36% of the nation's workforce, a feat which ranks the sector as the highest employer of labor in the country. But notwithstanding this laudable feat, compared to the era when crude oil became the mainstay of Nigeria. Before then, agricultural sector fed the entire nation of Nigeria and was the mainstay of the economy. Now, the question is, with the current rise in the cost of food prices and inflation running here and there in the country, the question to ask is this: has agriculture gone to bed in Nigeria, or has it gone to sleep? Joining me today, rather, is Professor Adewumi Babatunde, is a professor of agricultural engineering. We'll go on a break. When we return, now my guest joined me this morning so we can take our conversation to the next level. To stay with us. Welcome once again to the program. I'm having a conversation this morning with Professor Adewumi Babatunde. He has a robust CV and profile. Briefly, I'd like to take a paragraph or two of your CV before we start our conversation. He says, Engineer Professor Adewumi Babatunde is a Nigerian and has all his degrees in agricultural engineering with specialization in agro-food process engineering. Is a registered engineer with the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, Koren. He had his postdoctoral research in advanced food engineering in the United Nations University, UNU Tokyo, at the UNU station in Mysore, India. Good morning once again and welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Yes, Prof, let's begin our conversation with what agriculture used to be in Nigeria. Before the advent of crude oil in Nigeria, we were taught in school that agriculture was the mainstay of the Nigerian economy and it fed the entire nation. But what we currently observe or notice on ground with regards to agriculture and the entire economy, it's as if the sector has gone to sleep. What happened?
Pre-colonial era in Nigeria, agriculture was our mainstay. During the colonial era, the same story. At the early period of our independence, up till the 70s, agriculture still remained the mainstay of the nation. But it's unfortunate that when we now started exploring oil,
okay,
and we go into the oil industry, it was a real, and it's good for the nation. But unfortunately, we do not know how to handle the wealth of the oil. We forgot agriculture. We lost our priorities. We do not behave like Saudi Arabia, that when they discover their oil and they're enjoying it, they diversified into so many other industries. And you see tourism industry growing, you see the agriculture growing, you see their research knowledge-based economy improving. For our own, we just got the money and we continue to spend. And even the agriculture that happens to be the mainstay of our economy those days, we also forgot it. We forgot the rural areas that were producing agricultural products for us, knowing that the hen that lays the golden egg must be taken care of. We were not taking care of our hen, that is agriculture, that is laying the golden egg, and we carelessly killed agriculture. Those days, we have tire industry, the Dunlop, Michelin, they were here from rubber. Because I think that one of the greatest problems is we thought agriculture is only for food production. But agriculture is more than that. Agriculture is actually the bedrock of industrialization, particularly agro-based industrialization. In Nigeria those days, we used to have dairy industries. We used to have pig milk producing Atikeja. But today, where are all those industries? The dairy industry is gone. The textile, we have cotton.
Yes.
And cotton was helping us in the textile industry. But textile industry in the sector was absorbing the large chunk of employment. But we did not know that our cotton are good. The cocoa industry, we were just exporting the seed. We did not bother to turn it to secondary product.
Okay.
And
Prof, let me come in
like
here.
Malaysia.
Just
Malaysia
a moment,
took the first oil palm seedling from Nigeria. And today, Malaysia is ruling in the oil palm industry with all its products because they took it seriously. They expanded it. They launched it into other industries, and they were producing different products. They mechanized it. They are not serious about mechanization in Nigeria. And before you know, Malaysia, that used to be like our big in oil palm establishment, they are now ruling in the world. Oil palm industry alone in Malaysia bringing a whole lot. Coal production in Nigeria that was bringing a lot of money to Nigeria, we did not expand it. We did not invest into it. And today, we are the loser. So our concept of agriculture is shallow. Even though we know many products come from agriculture and agriculture will be the main base for development, we did not treat agriculture well. We did not nurse agriculture well.
Okay, Prof, I would like to come in here. I would like to interrupt you here just a moment, Prof. I know you've started taking the conversation to the industrial aspect of agriculture. But first of all, let's look at agriculture, the way it came about in Nigeria and how Nigeria at that particular point in time was able to feed our entire populace without much of the importation that the country is currently involved in now. When agriculture was the mainstay then, how was it channeled from the rural areas to the urban areas?
Okay. Now, at the beginning, we have sustainable agriculture. Individuals are doing the farming. But because we have good government, the individuals were organized into cooperatives. They will produce, the government will help them to handle the marketing. They will produce, the government will buy them. We have grain board. And this board, they collate all the productions from the various unit farmers and cooperatives, and they buy it and they ensure standard, and they have to pool, even though it is small scale holding farmers producing them, you are able to pool them together into large mass. coconut, groundnut in the north, like the oil palm in the east and south, and in the east, south, and west, the cocoa in the south, and some part of the west. All these products, we call them produce markets. They are collected from individual sustainable farmers through the cooperative society, and the government will buy it from them at reasonable price and then take it to the world markets. That is primary food production. That was actually what streamlined us into the world economy. That time we weren't even thinking of secondary production, but because of good governance, because of proper coordination, we're able to make the best. And through that, all over the world, Nigeria is known for groundnut, is known for oil, is known for oil palm production, and some rubber production. And there was the farm settlement also, projects and programs in the southern Nigeria and southeast and in the western Nigeria, where the government coordinates and harmonizes research or harmonized research and stakeholders. And with that little effort of government and coordination, the nation became a world-renowned agricultural nation. And up till now, by the pool of resources in agriculture we have, is it land? We have them. Is it animal resources? We have them. Is it water resources? We have them. We are blessed also with very climate for the production of different agricultural products. So, and all those parameters have not seriously changed, but yet we can no more feed ourselves. Those days, we could feed ourselves, we could send to other nations.
Okay, Prof. Now, there are four sectors of the agriculture, four subsectors of the agriculture industry. It talks about the crop production, livestock, forestry, and fishing. These particular categories or subsectors of agriculture, how did they fare during those era when Nigeria was bearing the cart in the produce of, making available agricultural produce?
In fact, those periods, it was even the crop alone that was well known. And of course, the forestry. There was minor emphasis on the livestock. Of course, we have them. They could also be source of income, like the skin and leather. If you go to Ethiopia, skin and leather has promoted the export market of Ethiopia. We have them, and fish also, except at the international level where we go to our IC, we were not giving too much effort in terms of its income. But now the market is open properly. You see, those days we were bringing in stockfish, the eastern people from Norway, but we also have our own fresh fish reserve. But the problem now is even the population has overfloated, that we have not even met the internal supply. But definitely all those four arms were available before, but with more strength on crop and the forestry for export products.
Okay. Prof, let's talk about the participation and the involvement of institutional bodies, because recently you just mentioned Ethiopia and how it contributed to their strength with regards to exporting those products outside the country. Let's talk about the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. At that particular time where agriculture was at the apex in the industrial sector in Nigeria, was that particular industry operational, and what are the roles they played in that era?
Well, government played the strongest part in the era of pre-colonial colonial and early independence age. But there are also some institutional key players.
Okay.
Like, for example, the research institutes do the regulation in terms of helping to produce standard. Like the Institute of Marine and Oceanography, like some universities, through the farm settlement, they're able to ensure standard. And there are some individuals too that are involved and cooperatives in export markets. But actually, it was the government through the produce boards that was more prominent. And that time there was strict regulation, quality maintenance, and quality assurance. But unfortunately, with time, as government is losing its grip and government is becoming insincere, and government agents were becoming corrupt, so many other things now came in. And it's very unfortunate. And that is why in Nigeria, the issue of corruption has eaten deep into us. In fact, corruption is killing so many things within the nation, including our agricultural sector. Because of this corruption, we have not bothered on standards. And where we even talk of standards, they are adulterated. And by the time our products get out, they don't meet the real standard requirements. Because everybody wants to take some money to deliver some assignments, and it's unfortunate.
Prof, before I start talking about where the government got it wrong, where the government started, taking the back seat instead of being at the front seat and putting forth regulatory actions to make sure that the agricultural sector was on track. Let's briefly go back a little. Let's talk about the workforce, the Nigerian workforce during that particular era as well. Let's look at how many percent agriculture was contributing with regards to the workforce in the country employing labor, because from my intro, I was meant to, introduce to my viewers that it currently contributes about 36% of the workforce to the country and contributes about 24% of the gross domestic product in the economy. So before now, those figures, were they like child's play compared to what obtains then?
Well, those days, the grassroots workforce are our farmers. People were ready to do farming, and they were taking it as serious. And that time too, the little the government was doing then, even though we have not gone fully mechanized, like for example, especially in the southeast and west, the issue of farm settlements encouraged our farmers. Because what is the farm settlement project? It's an established government farming center with standards, with adequate inputs, with some groundwork farmers and research workers and some other stakeholders who are involved, so that when they get a product from the research and they try it there and it works with their farmer will take it to his own farm, he will experiment it. And when all other farmers see the result, say cocoa, for example, if, for example, the local cocoa is producing about, say, 50 tons per hectare, for example, and the one in the research is producing beyond that 15 tons, is producing about 30. It's not easy to convince people, our farmers. But when a research or a farm settlement farmer takes it to his farm and they see it practical, you see all of them coming into it in mass. God produce a grant to make people motivated to do it, and government will supply the seedling, and the people are very serious about it. And when there's a need for some input, the government readily supply. It's not going to the wrong hands. Unlike now, they talk of fertilizer. The farmers don't get it, it's the rich men. But through effective management and good leadership, The right people get it, they use the input, and it's working. You want to give tractor, now the rich don't get it.
Okay. But
Then
Prof,
the farmers will get it.
sorry to interrupt you, Prof. Now, then, was it the government that was responsible for employing people to work in farm settlements, or were people being employed by private individuals that owned large farm settlements, or it was an enterprise that attracts people individually to go into it?
Government provides the administration and the key workers who have research inclinations, but they bring in farmers too, so that farmers will come and participate and see what research could do and how farm operation could be improved. So it's actually owned by the government, but they involve farmers and other stakeholders. Like the chemical producing industries are involved, they bring in their chemicals, the research is involved, the researchers bring in their products, the extension officers are involved. So it is a model, but unfortunately it's destroyed because that is the easiest way to attract farmers. So they have their own farmers that they have proven can do the work. They network them into the operations in the farm settlements. And when these farmers see what is happening, they go and do it on their real farm that they also have. And other farmers around them see them and form them into cooperatives, able to help them to manage whatever they are doing and also provide fund to the right people who need it. And you can also people are encouraged. Those are the grassroots workers, laborers. We have the administrative laborers, like in industries, the produce board. There are government workers involved in it, and they are sincere people, and they are doing the work the way it should be done. There are also researchers. So there are actually different laborers involved, and at times are serious about it. Very serious and committed.
Prof, permit me to interrupt you once more. Now, at what time do we started experiencing a decline in the contribution of agriculture to the nation's prosperity?
It is when we have boom. The oil boom that should be a blessing.
Yes, I can hear you. Please go on, sir.
So when the oil boom started, we were not spent enough. We do not have wisdom of the leadership to handle and coordinate it. We were just spending the way the money was coming, and we forgot all other industries. It was the oil boom that brought our problem. It became a boom instead of a blessing. So when the money was coming, farming now looks tedious because you go out and get government job, farmer laboring can now not have a profit 1/10 of what you're having as a salary. And of course, government started losing interest in investing into agriculture and motivating and encouraging the farmers. Instead of doing that, they were creating more problem of not regulating import policy. So when we now again without regarding farmers will plant, like say oil palm, they will get loan, they will bring. By the time they are coming out, Malaysia that is now working at a higher level beyond us, their own production has gone mechanized and their cost price has reduced. You now allow them to just bring in their product anyhow at reduced rates. Then the farmers that have gotten a loan will become, they now sell at a loss. They are no more making gain, and it became a serious problem for our farmers, and everybody started running away from farming, now running to the city. We are not developing the rural areas. We are not developing, rural infrastructure. We are not improving mechanization, and farmers are producing at high cost price. So when they are now selling is high, Government that has encouraged them to produce now cannot regulate markets. And by the time that started, everybody started running away from farming because it was no more profitable. All the companies that buy some of those products, government was not spending well on industrialization, and those companies were folding. So the farmers now don't have industries to buy from them. Now to the regular indigenous markets, and you get there, the market is flooded. The government doesn't have any plan, to protect the farmers by buying from them at regulated prices. And because of that, everybody run out of farm.
Okay.
Now you have
Prof.
only old people on the farm.
Okay. Prof, I think we have just 8 minutes more to conclude our conversation. I still want to talk about the regulatory aspect that the government refused to play, where indigenous farming, died and became a thing of the past. But let's talk about corruption and farming at the current state where it is in Nigeria. The cost of food in Nigeria currently, as we speak, is alarming. And one of the reasons or the challenges has been tied to the Nigerian farms are not as buoyant, or farming is not as attractive as it were in the past. What can the government do?
You see, there are many problems for this. The first thing is the government should be honest and willing. There's
one be very, very specific when you talk about the government being honest.
Policy. One, strategic grain policy. For every nation, the way they protect the nation and allow food security to have the strategic grain reserve. We have them. And this strategic grain reserve is by policy. It's, in the strategic grain reserve, we should have reserve for years, like in America. There's some grain, like during the time of COVID in America, they were giving out food because they have capacity for almost 5-6 years of regular supply, even if the farmers don't produce. We don't have that. We have those facilities, but they are not well managed. We bring them in, we import them, we use the wrong people to buy them. Many components are missing. Strategic grain reserve that should store for almost 15-20 years, they can't store more than 5-6 months. That is what we use our own silo and strategic grain reserve for. Whereas in the countries where they know the role of government, we must make, there's always a policy that so percentage of your food must not be eaten, must be stored. And they must be acquired by government at good cost so that farmers will get their product out in real cost that will not make them to lose. And when those things go there, the government is supposed to keep them so that when there is an eventuality, if there is crisis somewhere, government is sure for 15 years we have what we have as reserve. It's not so in Nigeria. Okay. It's a serious problem. In fact, strategic grain reserve is the main tool of the government to stabilize. Our own price commodity of agriculture is not stabilized. You buy 5 pieces of tomatoes today, 100. Tomorrow is 500. Yeah. Prices are galloping. It's not supposed to be so. Go to most of these nations where they have strategic grain reserve and they are using it well. Prices are stable. Go to Britain, the price of bread remains so for many years. In Nigeria, even within days, everything starts galloping and fluctuating. It's the government that does that. It's the government that protects the farmer through these strategic grain reserves.
Prof, just a moment, Prof. Is there a role that private investors or private individuals can play apart from the government? Because we seem to be putting everything on the shoulders of the government. Could you please talk about this?
Yes, private can, even in strategic grain reserve, but the cost is much. That's why mostly government has the first responsibility, but private can do it. But the problem we have in Nigeria is that most private people even want to go to it. They do not know how to recruit the right experts. Like in the strategic grain reserve, there's a role for mechanical engineer, there's a role for agricultural engineer, there's a role for food engineer, there's a role for civil engineer. But because it is a food matter, agric engineers or food engineers should champion. But most of our strategic grain reserve, they don't employ them there. They don't value those that should be valued. We don't put the right peg in the right holes. And it has affected us in every sector in agriculture, particularly the strategic role of agricultural engineers.
Okay.
People don't know them, they don't value them. Yeah.
Yes, just a moment. Now, the Nigerian election, 2023 election is just at the corner. And of course, the things that the incoming administration should tackle is no longer in secret, it's in public domain. So for someone with a robust CV and profile like yourself, if you were being appointed by the government to be the Minister of Agriculture, what are the advice or the kind of program you will made available for the government to implement? Could you please answer that in the next 2 minutes or so?
Yes. If God wants it and I find myself in that post, I will respect those who should be respected. That is the grassroots, the farmers, the local government, because this is the base for agriculture. Our farmers are not the way they should be treated. The rural areas are not the way they should be. No rural infrastructure, no farm input, no welfare for them, no security for farmers. They plant, cows will come and eat it up, their pigs will die, their animals will die. No protection by the government. It's very unfortunate. If you don't take care of the egg that is laying the golden egg, no egg will come again. Whatever policy we make, it must first of all identify the real people who are in the rural area and improve on the structure of our rural area. The road network should be good. We should provide them with irrigation. We should provide them with electricity. We should make life comfortable for them in the farm. We should take even many of these industries close to there because they produce the raw material. The industries should be located closest to them. Look at most of our industries. They are far. No, we are not serious and we are not honest as a nation. We are ethnical and we are biased in everything. We use politics. We don't use technical information. We don't use the right information to take decisions. So we have to remember the end that lays the golden egg, and that is the farmer and the rural area. If we do that, you will rather be seeing people from urban area migrating to the rural area. And of course, we have the mass of land from over there to accommodate them instead of congesting the urban areas. Already, industry is taking over, and some other construction work is taking over the lands in the urban area, and we are generating a lot of pollution. Whereas the rural area is fair. Instead of us improving the rural area so that there will even be migration from urban to rural, but we make the rural area not conducive. We make our farmers to regret going to farm. I am a farmer, I must confess to you. At least I have land. I have farm about 20 acres. But I tell you, it's very unfortunate. I know what farmers are facing because I'm a farmer. No irrigation, no electricity, network. You go there with your car, the car is spoiled. How do you want people to go there? How do you want agri to improve? Even from the production, is when you have adequate production, we are talking of every other network. So we must remember the rural areas. We must remember the rural farmer, not pen farmers. And we must improve their situation. That will be my first target. And I think if that is done, every other thing can fall in line.
All right. Professor Adewumi Babatunde was my guest this morning. It's been an enlightening moment having this conversation with you. Thank you so much for your time, Prof.
Thank you, sir.
It's good.
I'm very grateful.
You're welcome.
Okay.